with your closing plenary preparing for Asia's future, how do you prepare for Asia's future amidst all this uncertainty and the escalating trade tension that we're seeing?
I think I've prepared my whole life in reading, and we try to understand what are the major trends, not necessarily the day-to-day movements. And my very first speech on Wall Street 50 years ago was the best investors, social scientists. So understanding these issues. And Asia, the rise of the middle class in Asia is one of the most important things that's occurring in the world. And more than half the people in the world in the middle class will be living in Asia. What are their needs? What are their wants? How do they access the financial system? Number two, the education of girls and women. Today, there are 90% of all girls are in primary school in the world, and the huge increase has come out of Asia versus 92% for boys. And the growth of the Asian economy, from including women, as we're focused on. Three, aging. Vietnam, Korea, China are aging faster than any country has really ever aged in the history of the world. How are their economies and societies dealing with this issue? Healthcare, environment, the change in lifestyle, the change in diet, the fast food restaurants from the United States that have come to Asia have brought with them many other side effects, increased cancer rates, obesity, diabetes. And so as we look at Asia in the future, long term, we're focused on all these issues. And that's what I'm focused on.
And are you concerned at all about what we're seeing between the US and China and a potential dent to global growth?
I think the trade differences will eventually be resolved in some way. And so it's hard. You have much more responsibilities to report on an hourly basis what's happened. We're trying to figure out what are the major trends and where they're headed, and the importance of financial systems. It wasn't that long ago that 0% of the population had access to a mobile phone. Today, almost 70% of everyone on this planet has access, and it's even higher in Asia. So the growth of fintech, the fact that your bank will be your mobile device might be your doctor, your educator, and how that plays into society so that we can increase economic opportunities for everyone.
Speaking of economic opportunities, you spoke there about some of the problems that come with a rising middle class, particularly amongst health. So is medical, innovation somewhere where you're seeing a lot of movement towards putting capital?
We've spent 40 years working on this area, and the substantial reduction in death rates from cancer are with us today and other diseases. The answer to that question is yes, and it's not that they have to occur. The food chain is changing. How we prepare food, how we grow food, where it's grown. The ability to grow a hamburger in a petri dish is with us in a reality today, without pesticides, without hormones, without pharma products, 1% of the use of water, 1% of the use of land. And so we see Asia as the focal point here. 5 years ago at this conference, when we quizzed people throughout Asia about how they felt about the environment, except for a little in Hong Kong and Singapore, it was not an issue. Today, every country in Asia, it's an issue. And so that is why we're focused on bringing financial capital to solve those issues.
You're also focusing a lot, of course, on equality, and yesterday you had the Women Leaders Summit. What inroads are you seeing there in terms of future women leaders and future women in business?
Well, Asia is a leader in this area. The Milken Institute puts on 275 events a year around the world. Luckily, I don't go to all of them, but they're all great. This event in Singapore has the highest percentage of women of any event we put on in the world. And yesterday, 300 women leaders. And it was interesting, of those 300, almost 90% were in finance. So as you go around the world, people perceive that women aren't playing an important role in access to capital or finance. But here they are, and we had the results of the Quant worldwide competition yesterday put on by World Quant. And 1,100 people competed. At the end of the day, there were 11 winners. 7 were women, four were men. And I don't think we fully realize the active role that women are playing in AI and technology today. And so it is one of the things that's a strength of Asia. At our philanthropy forums, our Center for Strategic Philanthropy, what you've found now is that the second or third generation leader is often the daughter, where it used to always be the son. So it's refreshing, and it's led to enormous economic growth in Asia. And we have a lot to learn from Asia and Singapore.
The future is female, as they say. Just one final question, Mike. What is the Institute doing to help develop capital markets in developing nations?
We have brought in and looked at if we could create 1,000 world experts that agree to work for their governments in sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia. You need a counterparty that is sophisticated, that understands financial markets. So along with the IFC, a division of the World Bank, we've started this program where we bring in scholars who've completed college that are willing to agree to go back and work for their governments. And they spend 1 year in intern programs and being educated, in this case at George Washington University. Yesterday in the morning, we met with Singapore about the possibility of once again bringing people that are working in finance in sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia to a university here in Singapore, and they would go back and be the counterparty for their governments to create. So we are very focused that they become world experts and can hold their own in any financial conversation.